I'm so excited today because someone who's dressed me up, she's just like Issey Miyake, my favorite one. And here comes the guest. Oh my God, that is amazing, Vaishali. Thank you for so much. So today on Win Voices podcast, I have Vaishali S. And I'm really excited because this is the first time I've dressed up for a podcast. And, I just said Issey Miyake, but, you're much better than him.
My journey, as you said, I ran away from home. That's the famous line, it's tagged with me. Of course, I've left my house when I was 17 years old, which was, I feel that was a very strong call. Artisans for embroidery, for fabric, for many things, which is good. Of course, we are getting, if they give right visibility and they give money to the artisans, it's a huge thing. But I felt we have so much. We have skill, we have craft, we have design, we have history, we have heritage.
We have everything.
We have everything. Why can't we do it? We should be on the forefront, not the behind the scene or made in India,
In the pandemic, we did a session and that was for so India has this huge history of textile and craftsmanship. And we have the best engineering minds. Yes. Why can't we have fashion technocrats? And you've just answered my question. So today on Win Voices podcast, I have Vaishali S. And I'm really excited because this is the first time I've dressed up for a podcast. And, I just said Issey Miyake, but, you're much better than him.
Oh my God.
Okay, he has stripes. You have yours, and you're going to, of course, talk about your cordons.
Yeah.
And so, Vaishali, in your own words, because you are this really hot couture designer who's showcasing in Paris and the world fashion capital. And I'm really, really excited to have you on Win Voices podcast. So in your own words, tell us a bit about your journey and, how you created. I do know some parts of the story that you ran away, you were doing something else, which your partner told me about the other day on the call. But I want you to tell us in your own words about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. And you're looking gorgeous.
Thank you.
Vaishali, yes, very beautiful. And my journey, as you said, I ran away from home. That's the famous line, it's tagged with me. Of course, I've left my house when I was 17 years old, which was, I feel that was a very strong call. When you are in small town, of course, you have very special upbringings. You have really strong values and roots. But sometimes, your heart says something else, and that was so strong. I just left, without anything, and now I go back and I think 17 years, oh my God, my daughter is 18 years old and I can't even think about, what you will do without money or anything. But of course, I've survived. When you think something, and you believe in it, I think whole universe is with you. Very conventionally, I have done my engineering in computer science. But somehow that, that feeling, something more meaningful, something with more purpose, that was not, that satisfaction was not there. So I was still looking for different things. Obviously, when you leave house in that age, first thing is survival. For that, I have started like very small job in like many random jobs I have done. First job was like just 500 rupees and a lot of struggle was there. Sometimes like my hostel fee was 750, but I was earning 500. So, but now I feel so good. I have taken that decision, that I don't know from where that courage.
So I have this saying that the universe has a way of aligning itself,
course,
and we all have to have gratitude.
Of course.
And so I'm so excited. So there is this strength in your design language, and I want you to sort of throw some light, on your technique. So, like as you mentioned, so if you can just talk about that, your craftsmanship, the artisans, that would be great from a design perspective.
As I said, I'm a trained engineer, but that time I was not trained designer. So you follow the nature, you follow what is surrounded with you, or what is happening within you. So the breath is the most important, and for me it is always very fascinating part in my life. So this chord comes from the breath, how body connects with the breath, it becomes alive. When
Wow.
this breath breaks it, there is no life. So the concept I try to convert into my garment, like if you have a fabric and one cord, if you connect that cord with that fabric, it becomes a wearable garment,
Wow.
And that's how these cords are giving life to these beautiful weaves, because and of course the biggest inspiration is Indian craft and weaves. That's how I think that has changed my life. So giving the movement and the structure to these weaves, I've started using the breath, the cord. And this is when you create cords, it's a zero waste. So a lot of things are connected why I'm using cords to my garments, and why this is DNA of Vaishali is the woven fabric and the cord, because I think
So I love what you said, but I must tell you, in the pandemic, we did a session, and that was for, so India has this huge history of textile and craftsmanship, and we have the best engineering minds. Why
Yes.
can't we have fashion technocrats? And you've just answered my question. You've actually somewhere amalgated your engineering mind. You're
think
not.
so.
It's like zero waste. It's all about sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah.
And now you've just explained it. Like it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I mean, I've never really. We just met the first time a
Yeah.
couple of weeks back.
Yes.
At Raffles, and I'm so glad we are doing this, because I think this is. You're taking craftsmanship at a very, very global level.
Global level.
And that is exactly what WIN is all about, because,
Yes.
Women Inspiring Network, we do our curated discussions at Davos. Now we have the Cannes Creativity Festival coming up in June, and of
Wow.
course, New York, which is around Climate Week in UNGA, United
Oh, wow.
Nations General
Okay.
Assembly.
Amazing.
So I'm really excited. And you've also talked about forgotten textiles like Kesa Pat and Khoon to global runways. What does that journey really take?
I think for me, each textile is very special, but I feel like, we have so much in India and so many less known weaves are there. So my focus is wherever the less known weaves are. So it's a very beautiful story for Khand weave. I'm Maharashtrian, and I've seen Khand, my grandmother wearing, and we used to offer in Goddess Temple. But then I've realized, why only for blouses? It's such a beautiful weave, and I've decided to see where are the weavers. Such a beautiful weave, and literally I've started from Bombay. It took me more than 2 days to find that village, because it was not on the map.
Wow.
Yeah, and literally we have to cross, we had to cross farms and fields, and finally we arrived there. And it was so disappointing to see the whole village was on power loom.
Wow.
Only one family finally I met end of the day, and it took me, I don't know how I have convinced. Now it was so tough to convince them, because they were like, if you will say we are weavers family, no one will give their daughters to our house. They will not get married, their sons will not get married, because they consider as poor people.
Wow.
That was really shock for me. I felt like such a beautiful weave. It has so much potential. Finally, I have convinced, and from 2 families, I have converted at least 55 to 60 looms, hand looms from power loom. So that was the biggest, satisfaction, I think I would say it was. And then similarly, Kesa part, you said, is such a beautiful weave in Assam, but very, like, I don't think so many people knows about. So I think I went there in 2014 or 13. I had to walk for 4 hours to reach.
Wow. So you have gone to back or beyonds.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. But then when I've arrived, I've seen, oh my God, such a beautiful sound. 4 o'clock in the morning, all the women, they will just wake up early and sit on the loom and,
Yeah.
because they have to finish before their kids will go to school, or they have to prepare lunch for their family. So it was such a beautiful experience, and of course I found beautiful weave to work with.
Wow. So I remember Mona Patel, who made the waves last year at the Met Gala, and she was wearing this Dior or one of these global designers, and she said the craftsmanship was by this person out of Bombay. The craftsmanship. I don't recall the name, but we do have that video on our podcast, and so she talked about it at Davos during World Economic Forum, like how Indian craftsmanship and weavers are so amazing, and and I'm so glad that you're putting all of these people at a global level.
I think this is like beyond anything. I feel how they work. I always say this thing, when my first encounter with the weavers, when you see how they make fabric, it's not easy. They take 17 days to prepare the loom, and almost 10,000 to 14,000 threads they have to tie with hands, which we don't even have patience to stand and see. So that's how they prepare the loom. So I feel this is not just a fabric. I think it's more than that. Of course, we see it's a form of art, when you see jamdani or khan or any weave, each weave has like something very unique.
Yeah.
And this is the future for the fashion. If we talk about slow fashion or sustainability or anything,
And you've actually managed to put all of them globally. And so actually my next question was going to be that what has been your sharpest insight, because you've actually put these weavers on a very global level, and what does real sustainability mean in the design world?
I think first thing, sustainability for me, as I said, I come from very humble background, and still I feel in small towns and villages we have strong roots of sustainability. Maybe the word is new for us, but it is way of life still in villages and small towns. So that's how I've learned. For me, I've never thought this subject will become so big. We just lived our life like that. Mother will say in the kitchen, don't throw anything, how to reuse, how to redesign, how to recreate. We never had huge, garbage bins in our house. She will wear new sari outside, little tone, she will wear it at home, and maybe maybe I will wear the frock, or you will see the curtain, or finally the cleaning fabric. So those were like very simple, small lessons
in life you learned along the way.
Yeah. So I think unknowingly I've followed when I've started my brand, and now it's such a big deal,
And so you are owning the Paris runway, and what did that moment shift for Indian craftsmanship globally?
For me, that was a big dream, because whenever you travel abroad, you always see Made in India tag, and of course lot of international designers, they come to India, and they are working with our artisans for embroidery, for fabric, for many things, which is good. Of course we are getting, if they give right visibility and they give money to the artisans, it's a huge thing. But I felt we have so much. We have skill, we have craft, we have design, we have history, we have heritage.
We have everything.
We have everything. Why can't we do it? We should be on the forefront, not the behind the scene or made in India. We should be there.
So I must say this, because we've gone on these global platforms and everybody's like, are you out of India? We said, yes, we are out of India. So we, of course, are present. So apart from the Indian government, we're the only other Indian organization globally.
Oh, amazing.
So, so that is amazing. And so I think we have it all. It's just putting the right India stories globally.
Yeah.
And I think with AI coming in, I think it's just going to become more faster, and this is the first time we are going to have a seat at the table.
Amazing.
But I'm going to sort of ask you a question which is reimagining tradition into couture. What is your creative starting point?
Can you repeat, sorry?
What is your, see, you've gone from tradition and you've taken it to couture.
Yeah.
So what is your creative starting point?
See, the whole vision and the mission of Vaishali S is like, taking Indian traditional craft and weave and putting on making something global which world can wear, So, of course, lot goes in innovation, design when I'm working with the weavers, because I'm trying to make it global. So, what kind of silhouettes I'm using and what kind of textures I'm using it. So my focus is whatever I am doing, it should be original.
Yeah.
Something new I am giving to the world, because I think it's a huge responsibility also. And it's a thin line, I feel. If you go wrong, then the mission goes, in different direction. So I think I'm very careful starting from the fabric, how I select my thread, which fabric I'm making, how I'm making. The quality control is very, very important. And the most important part, I think the weavers are part of the whole process, And I think each step is important for me, from fabric to the making silhouettes, the draping, the cutting, and the final design, and even what texture I am choosing. Because if you see my concept, I think the whole story is always very in depth, and it's very different. And every time I try to bring something really unique, everybody should say, oh, we have never seen something before.
I have seen your show in Delhi, by the way. But I can go on, and we can spend a lot of time. I think I'd like to spend days with you. But we've sort of reached the end of the session. And as you know, WIN is all about inspiring women.
Yeah.
So I want you to give us like a winning message for women out there. What's that one message? I mean, you have really inspired, running away from home, building this amazing label. So I just want your inspiration to sort of come out so that it gives other women out there the courage to dream big.
I think one thing, they should be, I think one thing is very simple, very typical, but just follow your heart, that is very, very important. Whenever that call is there, I think you have to just follow and don't think. Of course, our mind, our brains are trained to give you all negative side, ye nahi hoga, this will not work, that will not work. But I think you have to just remove everything and go for it, and then universe is with you.
Thank you so much. You have really inspired me. I thought of something, and there is something coming up with WIN. And of course, I followed the courage part of it, but you have truly inspired me. It was really a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for making me look so beautiful. This is the first time I've actually dressed for podcast. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.